Orlando. Welcome, Vice President Gore. Hey, John, how are you doing?
Hi, Sue. Hello, Sue. Thank you. Hello there.
And Lawrence, of course, we don't want to forget you and all of your friends out there in Bedfont Lakes in the UK. I just want to draw your attention before we get started, as all of you can see on your telepresence rooms there around the world. I've just been showing the audience here in Orlando on the slide on the presentation that we can actually share together via telepresence exactly how we're all making this work with the network as a platform. So with that, I think we're ready to get the discussion started. I know folks here in Orlando have been looking forward to it, and I'll turn it over to you, Lawrence.
Thanks, Sue, and welcome Orlando to this unique event. Welcome also to those people who are watching on the web and watching via telepresence. Here in London, we're hosting a live debate using Cisco's telepresence technology to connect some of the leading commentators on climate change in 4 locations on 2 continents. And we have 2 live audiences as well. We're also simulcasting globally to thousands of people on the web and to telepresence rooms in 3 continents. So let's get down to business, and I'll start by introducing our panelists. First of all, someone who, as they say in show business, hardly needs any introduction, Mr. Al Gore. Former Vice President Al Gore, nowadays you're chairman of Current TV, which as a television journalist I'm really interested in, a station for young people based on citizen journalism, citizen reporting. You're also chairman of Generation Investment Management, a firm that invests in sustainable projects, and you're chair of the Alliance for Climate Protection, a non-profit organisation struggling to get to grips with this thorny issue. In business terms, and I didn't know this, it kind of surprises me, you're a member of the board of directors of Apple, a senior advisor to Google, and a partner with a venture capital firm, Kleiner Perkins, Caulfield and Byers. But of course, what people know you for is your 2 best-selling books, Birth in the Balance and An Inconvenient Truth, which creates, I think, a unique double, because I can think of no other person in any other field of endeavour who has starred in an Oscar-winning movie and won the Nobel Peace Prize that you did in 2007. You don't remember this, but I met you 10 years ago at the Rio Earth Summit in 1992 when you gave a press conference as leader of the congressional delegation. And for many people, that's where the struggle against climate change started. Mr. Gore, you were there. Turning now to San Jose and to John Chambers, who was, of course, chairman and CEO of Cisco. You joined Cisco in 1991, and I'm told that you've grown the business from revenues of $1.3 billion to a startling $35 billion. Before Cisco PC, you worked for Wang Laboratories and for IBM. You've been widely praised by government leaders for 3 qualities. Visionary strategy, your ability to drive an entrepreneurial culture, and I'm told warm-hearted but straight-talking approach. You've received numerous awards, including the first ever Clinton Global Citizen Award in 2007. You're also active in lots of philanthropic and educational initiatives, including the 21st Century Schools Project, aimed at helping children in the Gulf Coast region who were affected by Hurricane Katrina. Back to Orlando and to Sue. I believe you've got 2,500 people somewhere out there behind you, Sue. You started, you're now Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer at Cisco, and you're Head of Worldwide Government Affairs. You've had over 10 years with Cisco and 20 years experience in strategic marketing. And you're responsible for developing and communicating Cisco's vision and strategy through all the usual tricks, all the usual techniques, positioning, branding, and so on. You're also, however, responsible for Worldwide Government Affairs, which develops and executes Cisco's public policy agenda. Well, down to business, and the first question I think fittingly goes to Mr. Gore. Your passion on this issue is well known. I think many people here would like to know your assessment of where we are today. What are the successes, if any, and what are the challenges that remain in front of us?
Well, thank you, Lawrence, and Sue, and to my good friend John Chambers, thank you for inviting me to participate today. And hello to everybody gathered at VoiceCon and also at London. You're not far from my partners and my office in London at Generation Investment Management over on Court Street. And giving an assessment, Lawrence, in response to your question, there's good news and bad news. In the last couple of years, we have seen a significant change in public opinion, with more and more people recognizing the clear evidence that we are facing a planetary emergency. Even though the phrase still sounds shrill to many ears, the global scientific community has been practically screaming from the rooftops. 3,000 scientists from over 100 countries, all of them at the very top of their fields. They're the most respected by their peers, have worked for 15 years and have issued 4 unanimous reports. And the last one, they asked them, how certain are you of this? And they said 99%. And then the governments, in reviewing their work, said, oh, that's we're not sure we want to go out with that. So they compromised and said we're more than 90% certain. The evidence from the graphs and charts and streams of numbers are one thing, but the ice is melting, the storms are getting stronger, the floods are getting bigger, the droughts are getting more pronounced and more destructive. Sea level is rising. The latest measurements of the North Polar ice cap, made just after the fall equinox, September 21st, shows that, in the words of one of the leading ice scientists in the world, Conrad Steffens, the Arctic is screaming. He said it's fallen off a cliff. Other researchers have calculated that at the current rate, the entire North Polar ice cap could be completely gone in summers in as little as 5 years. And that's just so incredibly shocking. So the sooner we can halt this destructive process, the better, and start the recovery process. And we can start the recovery process. Alongside denial, despair is the other enemy of progress and hope. And so the evidence is overwhelming, and more people are seeing it and responding to it. However, when you give people a list of priorities, say 25 is what the pollsters often do, and include the climate crisis on that list and ask them to rank these challenges in order of the priority they'd like to attach to them, the climate crisis consistently ranks at number 24 or 23 out of 25. And the same polls and produce the same results in the United Kingdom and in other countries around the world. So what is needed is a new sense of urgency. And businesses are beginning to take leadership roles. Not all, of course. Some of the largest carbon polluters are still playing a very destructive, even unethical role. But most business leaders are way ahead of political leaders. And that's the good news, because when the market starts to shift, that really makes a difference. And interestingly, when business leaders take a hard look at their own companies and ask their managers and engineers, how can we cut back on CO2? When they do a very thorough analysis, depending on the kind of business it is, the majority of them right away isolate travel as one of the big variable costs where discretionary CO2 emissions are concerned. And so people have been waiting for a new video conferencing, teleconferencing option to come along that would be realistic enough to substitute for a much larger fraction of the in-person meetings that has people flying all over the planet. I don't own stock in Cisco. I wish I did, John.
There's never too late to fix that.
But I'm not paid for an endorsement. I'm not here for any kind of remunerative purpose. I'm here because I'm impressed by this system, and it's close to my